The first off day that I've taken in half a year, and Blizzard releases another version of the PTR patch notes for Warcraft 3. So I have managed to avoid spoilers altogether. Any Warcraft streamer that was watching them, I turned off their stream on my off day. Yes, I am a degenerate. I watch streams on my off day. More than 6 hours of stream yesterday. Of course, I've got a tournament coming up and I need to review my students, which makes it work, which makes it not an off day. But it's also passion. I made a rule for myself, whatever I want to do, whatever I feel like doing, whatever is fun, whatever relaxes me, I'm going to do it. And I ended up preparing my coaching document for Lakari. Anyways, let's look at the PTR. What has changed since last time, which was only maybe a week ago, like half a week to a week ago? Vampiric Potion now grants 6 damage instead of 12. Okay. And only 50% lifesteal instead of 75% for 20 seconds. Rune of Lesser Healing now only heals 75. Ring of Protection plus 3. Gold cost from 150 to 125. I see, it's cheaper again than it used to be. Which means it will sell for less. And you can buy them more in the marketplace. These are all just changes. Especially these two are changes to new item ideas that were added to the pool that are not, that were probably too strong. By the way, I only have 30 minutes for this review, so I cannot give you a 1 hour thought on every change. Orb of... Wait, what's the date of this? Is it April Fool's? No, this came out on March 31st. Orb of Fire replaced with Orb of Slow. 30% chance to proc on units, 15% chance to proc on heroes. Attack and movement speed slow to the target. I don't think this is a good idea. Orb of Slow was a neutral orb that had a 100% chance to do these things. This much slow, this much attack. It was 100%. With the 100%, Orb of Slow, Orb of Frost, wait, it's not Orb of Frost. It's Orb of Slow, the orange one. Orb of Frost is the blue one. But I feel like they functionally work very similarly. Ah, wait, this is the amount of slow that sorceresses do. So it's essentially applying... It has a chance to apply sorceress slow. It's not the same orb. Oh, also it's dispellable. 10 seconds, 5 seconds on heroes. Oh, okay. This is very powerful. Okay, here's what I like about it, first of all. What I like about it. It makes Orb of Fire have widespread application and use, just like all the other orbs. Orb of Fire, right now, only counters Rejuvenate, Coil Nova. It only counters Rejuvenation, Moonwell, Heal Wave, Heal Pot, and Death Coil, Death Pact. This is like what it counters most, but what it actually mostly gets used against is just Death Coil. Just Death Coil. This is the main reason it gets used. So Orb of Fire is one of those cards, like in Magic the Gathering, where it says Circle of Protection white. An artifact, spend 1 to counter a spell from white. It's like, oh wow, your brother plays white and you put this in your deck? That's kind of a douche move. You knew he plays white. Would you dare to put it in a balanced playing field? Would you dare to put something like that in your deck when you are going to play someone that may not even play white? Like, that's a counter item. Now, of course, this is different. This is an RTS. You don't pre-choose your deck. But Orb of Fire, in my opinion, suffered a bit from being specifically for the human undead matchup. But at the same time, that is kind of good because it can help balance out a matchup. It gives you a knob to twiddle that is specifically for that matchup, which doesn't mess up other balance. This, now we get to what I don't like about it. This is not a niche item. This is good everywhere. It's always good in every situation. It's always strong, and it might be too strong. I don't mind trying these things out on PTR, though I will say it is difficult to find high-level matches on PTR. I need to actually start organizing something where I play or I make people play against each other with some show match format where people actually stress test the PTR changes. Because so far, people talk. I talk, people listen, but we don't actually get high-level practice in. And the game should be balanced around both high and low level, mostly around high level, while grabbing easy wins at low level that do not imbalance it at the high level. So yeah, you should address like major imbalances at low level, but it should be mostly built around high level. And this is good for everyone, by the way. Blood Mage banish cooldown. Okay, great. 0 second cooldown at all from to 4-0. This is great. Great change. Mirror image needed a duration of the cooldown buff. Nerf, right? Longer. A buff to the amount of time. But a nerf, it had to be longer. Banish needed it as well. Paladin Holy Light cooldown increased from 5 to 6. I think that's a good change too. But I do wonder... Oh. I do wonder if you hit Siphon, Banish, and Holy Light at the same time, will that be too debilitating? 3 nerfs at the same time can be... can have like a big effect. And I think a lot of people, they hate Pala Rifle so much that they are screaming for blood. But it's like screaming for blood if there was like a beggar that stole an apple from the medieval market, and now instead of cutting his hand off, now he has to be beheaded. Because everyone saw it and it traveled on social media, and now everyone is talking about it. So the king must appease the bloodthirst of the people by decapitating the beggar, when actually all he needed to lose is his hand. And plus he's a beggar. Maybe it's the king's fault that there is a beggar, and he wouldn't even need to steal if he wasn't hungry all the time. Yes, but he must be decapitated! Yeah, so what does Pala Rifle offer right now for human? It offers an alternative playstyle that isn't fast expand or die. Human for a long time has been, you cannot play one base. Here's what I like about Pala Rifle. You can play one base. Archmage oftentimes could not. It was all about fast expand. I think we should keep the build. Okay, there's something else I need to explain. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it in 20 minutes, but I need to explain this. It's important. This is about matchmaking.
Hi, Grubs.
This is about why people that think Pala Rifle is preventing them from climbing are both right and wrong at the same time. Okay, let's say that you take 8 identical twins. You take 8 identical twins. Don't say the lines aren't identical. They're identical, right? For the purpose of the drawing. You take 8 identical twins. Okay, that one is super not identical. That's definitely not Mama's favorite. You take 8 identical twins. They all have the exact same gaming aptitude, and they are put in 8 alternate universes where they all get the exact same upbringing and conditions. You make each of them train a different race. 2 in each. These 2 are human, these 2 are elf, these 2 are undead, these 2 are orc, and only this guy plays Pala Rifle. Then what is the expected growth right now? I would imagine something like Pala Rifle guy has more MMR, like 200 more, and the others are all kind of like this. Okay, that's all fine and well. And when you make them keep playing with each other, this guy will do the best. He will keep beating the others more consistently, maybe with 70% win rate. Now, this, how do we know this? Because God said so, that's how. He knows that, he knows that they are all identical and he made it happen and everything. Okay, so what happens in reality on the ladder? It's very different. If God said there are 1,000 MMR players, there's 8,000 MMR players, their true skill is 1,000. But the guy with Pala Rifle gained 200 MMR more. And God said it, you would have to believe him because he's God. Okay, cool, I believe it. Okay, Pala Rifle is OP, it gives you 200 MMR. But there is no God that will say that because he likes to be coy and shy about these things and let us figure it out for ourselves. And I did figure it out by myself. So, what actually happens is that a 800 MMR Pala Rifle player plays at 1000 MMR. And all the 1000 MMR players also play there. They're all at 1000 MMR. And they're all playing together, and they're all doing 50% win rate. And it is difficult to say, actually, you are an 800 MMR player that has 200 plus from Pala Rifle. Because how do you prove it? And the way that matchmakers work, you can look at the statistic and see, oh, everyone is roughly at 50%. 51, 49, 50, 50, 50. It's because people that are actually mechanically weaker, that have general worse game understanding, that are worse, like a little bit worse in every single way that you can have skill in Warcraft 3, but they play Pala Rifle, so they're playing 200 MMR higher. But they're playing with all these other dudes that are legitimately 1000 MMR, but they play weak builds like Tinker First, and Orc, and Blood Mage First, and Tower Andy, and Bat Rider Guy, right? So they play all these weak builds, and so they're all at the same level, and therefore you cannot ever use ladder statistics that says 50% win rate and say, oh, the game is balanced. Because the matchmaker already took care of it. The 800 MMR guy climbed to 1000. So when you look at the general stat, you can't point at any build and say it is OP for that reason. So why does this matter? First of all, don't look at win rates on W3 champions for between races and say the game is balanced, because it has already been pre-selected to match you with boosted trash that play OP builds. That means that if you there is a flip side to it, which is actually a good part. If you are 1000 MMR and you're meeting a Pala Rifle player, there's no need to tilt. Yes, he's playing an OP build, but he's underdeveloped in every other way in the game. And despite playing an OP build, he has not managed to grow beyond your MMR. That means he wins as much as you do. You're both at 50% win rate. That means that he's going to mess up in ways that you don't. He's going to be weaker at macro than you are. So as long as you unlock your potential, you unlock your noggin, your brain about how to play against it. Do you go for his peasants? Do you just try to buy time? Do you mass tower? Whatever it is you do, you have skills that they don't. Now this is for the hypothesis if Pala Rifle is worth plus 200. I'm not saying it is. Well, I am saying it probably is. Maybe even more.
Grubby.
But
Loving it.
The hypothesis alone is enough to prove it. You are better in other ways. So for everyone at the level of 600 MMR to 2200, it doesn't really matter if a build is OP, because that person is playing at your level thanks to the build. It does matter because you know, like, oh, I see you actually kind of suck because I saw that like you're doing this wrong and this wrong and this wrong, and you're actually worse than everyone else I meet, but you got a strong build. Okay, so win rate is still the same. All right. So it doesn't really matter for ladder players, but at the same time, people like feel frustrated playing against the build because they know they are probably mechanically better than their opponent, but they can't prove it because it has good raw stats and it's easy to play and it doesn't need to counter anything and it doesn't need to scout anything, etc., etc., etc. So nerfs are in place. I would like to see the build not destroyed so that human can continue to play one base build. I believe in that should be the case. Where good specialists with the build can win with it and increase their MMR, but where the average, chimpanzee wouldn't be able to win with it. Okay, next. Flying machine movement speed reduced from 400 to 375. Okay, I like that. I think flying machines are OP despite this nerf still. I think that's good. Orc, reverted orb of lightning cost increase. Cost increase? It was a decrease from 375 to 325. I think they mean reverted the cost decrease. Torrent cost increased from 280 to... Whoa! My God! Man. That is expensive. That is expensive. Wow. And they don't have any bonus health and damage. So this is Blizzard's way of saying we would really like to try resistant skin. We have heard you guys and that it's going to be quite powerful. but we want to make sure that we get to see playtime with it. And I respect that. I think resistant skin is worth a lot. Just an example, guys. Liquipedia, Mountain Giant. How much does resistant skin cost for him? 50/100. Research time in the Ancient of Lore, by the way, 75. Torrent gets it. No cost, no time. Just 2020 per unit. This is 150. 2020 is 40. After 4 torrents, you will have paid more for it than resistant skin is for Mountain Giants. I think that's fair. Once you get to 6 torrents, it's like, hell. Now I paid a lot more. Now I paid 90 more, or whatever, right? But then you have 6 torrents. Apparently you're liking building them. I think this is still, you take this and resistant skin, it's still a massive buff. I will try to prove the validity of torrents. Do you ever go for torrents? No, because they get possessed. And by the way, they will still get smashed by Griffins and Chimera, obviously. But we have a good counter for that. Bat Riders. Torrent Bat can deal with heavy magic. And Torrent with resistant can deal with a lot more things on the ground now than before. So let's try it out. Sentry Ward health reduced from 200 to 50. Great change. If they're going to keep the magic resistance, the magic immunity in fact, where you cannot use Wisp, Dryad, Disenchant, Dispel, Control Magic, Devour Magic, their health needed to be heavily nerfed. This is a great change. I think it could even be less than 50. I think it could be 25. Can you explain resistant skin? I'm not going to do it this time. I don't have time for it, but you can check my previous patch note video where I go in depth about it. Yeah, and Chimera, Frostworm, Destroyer, Doctor, Priest, Sork cannot target fire sentries. I think 25 might even be better. However, I can see that Sentry Wards are still 1000 range, which I think is a 65% radius decrease, like total surface area decrease. So if you go from 1800 to 1000, which is what happened to Sentry Ward, if you actually calculate the space of the circle, since it takes the longest to circumvent the circle at the outside and it gets less and less as you shrink it, I think the actual effective surface area has gone down by like 65%. So it is a lot weaker. You'll need to use it better. But yeah, 50, it's fine. I think maybe it should be 1100 range. Because 1000 felt very, very, very little. Maybe 1100 or 1200. But let's see how it goes. Stasis Ward health down to 25. I think that's honestly fair. You can plop down 7 stasis in a row because they're no longer dispellable. Which means they need to chew through 175 health of stasis or a stun is going to happen. It's quite good. Stasis Ward detonation radius reduced. Stasis Ward stun duration reduced from 6 and 2.5 on heroes and torrents to 4 and 2 on heroes and torrents. Okay. I think that's fair. That's fair as well. I'm just excited to try it knowing they're not going to get control magicked. Healing Ward area of effect reduced from 500 to 450 also affects item. Okay. I think that's fair too. Healing Ward are mostly out of combat item. At high level, Healing Wards get dealt with so fast, it's almost always a waste to use them in battle, except if you have many Doctors, which of course never happens at high level, because Doctor is completely unusable because of the no magic immunity on the wards. Now they're going to be usable, and therefore nerfs should accompany that. I think this makes sense. This is smart. I don't know if anyone recommended this or if they're cooking this up themselves, but I think this is a smart reduction. Great Hole build time still going down, but not from 140 to 125, but 140 to 135. I think that's a great change. I think that's a great change. Even this is worth 50 gold, because you're mining 5 seconds earlier, you get 10 gold per second. It's worth 50 gold, and in fact, 50 per Great Hole, not just one time, right? And it's also worth more than 50 because it is less likely to be finished. And I don't think we should reduce something this big by 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. You could argue it shouldn't be reduced at all. But if you are going to reduce it, I think it should be the smallest step at all. The smallest step in total, which is what 5 seconds is. I think it's cool. Night Elf, reverted demon onto mana burn change. I think that's fair. I think the range reduction, the more I thought about it, was not good. High level players will already try to control mana burn via Ensnared, Stormbolt, Slow, Frost Nova Slow, and nuking him and so on. And going from, what was it, 350 to 250 was an insanely crazy change. Wait, how much longer do I have? 5 minutes? I have 5 minutes left to review. Okay, we can get through it. Night Elf. Yeah. Wisp lumber gathering rate reduced from 8 to 7. What? What? Why? Is this April Fool's? It means they gather faster? Oh. Oh, 8 seconds, 7 seconds to get bonus lumber. Ah. Okay, I was just thinking, why make all the buildings cost less lumber and then make Wisp need to work harder to get it? 12.5% more lumber. Okay. So Wisp got 5 bonus health recently. They detonate less mana, only 40 instead of 50 recently. Then and now they're giving 12.5% bonus regeneration rate. Okay. I mean, I know Night Elf gets lumber issues sometimes, but it's one of the main ways to slow them down. Wisp lumber gathering rate. I don't know about this one, man. I need to see everything in context, okay? Moonstone duration increased not from 30 to 45, but from 30 to 35. I feel like 35 or 40 would be fine. 45 felt like quite a bit. Grubby, please take a seat before you finish reading. Okay, I'm gonna get up. Okay. Keeper of the Grove strength gain increased from 1.8 to 2. Wait, does it mean that he will be breaking the rule of 6 attribute points per level? Yes, like Lich and Archmage before him. I see. It doesn't show his scaling here. Oh, because I'm stupid. It's over here. 1.8, 1.5, that's 3.3. Yeah, so he's going to get 6.2 per level. So Keeper's going to be a scaling hero attribute-wise. Now, in an isolated way, that makes sense. Because Keeper has anti-scaling from the way his abilities work. Because both are dispellable, Entangle and Treants. And Thorns can be extremely powerful, but it can also be one of the most useless auras in the game. So it makes sense where you say, okay, he gets a bit more stats because. However, does he need a buff in general? 50 more health at level 5 or 6. I don't feel like he needs it. I think Keeper's pretty good. This change doesn't feel significant at all. Yeah, of course 20 strength would be more significant than 2. But how imbalanced do you think things are? Treant attack speed reduced from 175 to 165. Alright. Let me see. Was it a problem? I mean, Treants are pretty... Wait, attack speed reduced. Does it mean they will attack faster? They mean attack interval, don't they? Yeah. I know how they write attack speeds. This is the period of time required to perform one auto attack. Okay, Treants will do more damage. I don't think this is needed. Personally, I think Keeper is in a great spot. If anything, I think Tranquility and Thorns can still be really OP. Yeah, anyways. Chimera movement speed increased. Okay. Do we agree that Chimera are relatively unused? I mean, they can be quite good. Someone said pros only know meta. They don't know how to think outside of the box. Also, they are killing the fun of the game. I think that's bait. A lot of pros can be a little tunnel vision, but they have explored more than you will ever know. And just because they play a few things doesn't mean they didn't play the other stuff for fun, experimentation, and discovery. Bait consumed. Yep. It's buffed actually from 250 to 290. Really? Maybe they had an internal change they were thinking about where there's no way they're 250. 250 is like siege. Oh my god. So, siege weaponry was 220 or 200 or something? 220? It got buffed to 240, right? Demolisher? Yeah. Siege weaponry went from 220 to 240, and because Chimera have siege capabilities, I guess they were designed to be very, very slow. And in a way, units like this should be slow because Chimera can fly around and murder castles and town halls and whatnot. Siege engine 220. I think it's good that they're slow. Now, I think you can take them from 250 to 260. Plus 40 is way too much. That's like putting 66% of a Butzel speed on Chimera. I think for 4v4 FFA, it's going to be very powerful, this type of change, 250 to 290. For one-on-one, will you make Chimera in one-on-one because they're faster? I think you will almost make them as infrequently as before. This feels mostly like an unnecessary change to me. But if you wanted to buff them, I would say plus 10 is the max. Okay, next. Moonglave's upgrade now changes Huntress armor type to heavy. I see. Wait, didn't we have a conversation on stream about this recently? Someone in chat asked, what do you think? And I said something like, what do you think should change for Elf? Some fun play toys? And I was like, maybe they should get another upgrade. But then someone said there's no space in the AOW, which I didn't fact check. And then someone else said, well, maybe it could be embedded in the Moonglaive upgrade. And then I was like, okay, cool. So, all right, this is crazy. This is crazy. Now, first of all, are Huntress trash? Huntress will have their time where they dominate footmen and ghouls and grunts. And then they turn into complete garbage. Everybody agrees with that. They're really strong early game. And then when enemy have too many headhunters, burrows, towers, rifles, fiends, they become complete garbage. All right, let's talk about the ramifications of this. What changes if this happens? Hunters right now have unarmored. They take bonus damage from siege and from piercing. That means riflemen, demolishers, wyverns, gargoyles, right? Glaive throwers, cannon tower, okay, raiders, mountain giant with clubs. But let's say the most realistic examples are rifleman, headhunter, fiend, archer. Those four. Those are most commonly matched up against them. How does heavy work? Heavy, 100% from everything, 200% from magic. Okay. If their armor changes, huntresses become very strong against riflemen, archer, and so on. In the same way that grunts are very strong against archers and riflemen. Which is to say, not that strong actually, because of the range advantage. It's like, whoever makes grunts to counter rifles? I mean, we try, but it doesn't really work, does it? Now, Huntress does have the bounce attack. They are faster. They will have the triple glaive bounce with this. They will no longer take bonus damage. They've been balanced around that they used to take bonus damage. They were a little underused because of it. This might propel them to be too strong, too dominant. You take expand, you mass hunts, and neither footmen or rifles can stop them. Especially with a stronger Keeper of the Grove. I entangle your rifle, I make treants, the treants kill your rifles fast. And when you're trying to get your rifles and water elementals, very relevant by the way, water elemental, I'm going to be upgrading to heavy and now I'm not taking bonus damage. So, what does a human player do then? Sorceress and Priest. So you take a Sorceress, which will do double damage after you've identified that the Huntress has heavy armor. It's like, oh, okay, he got the Moonglaive upgrade. I'm dying. Okay, I'm dying. Okay, all my peasants, buildings, footmen, and rifle are dying. Well, let's crank some Sorceress out. And I'm going to attack them. those huntresses with my 3 sorcerers with an 11 damage and a cooldown of 175. That means I'm doing 6.5 DPS. But it's magic against heavy. So it's actually 13 DPS. The rifleman has 21 damage. Has 15.5 DPS. Okay, so for a little cheaper, I can do more damage than a rifleman. For a little cheaper in food and money, I can do 20% less damage for 32% less cost and 33% or 50% less food, whatever, right? It's like, okay, that doesn't really counter them still. Slow, of course, helps. So what do you get to if Sorceress Priests don't help you enough? Cannon Towers no longer help enough. Guard Towers no longer help enough. Rifles, Sorc, Priests don't help. I guess you need Griffins. And the problem is those are too far away. And the game will already be decided by Humans Expo dying, Night Elves Expo not dying. There'll be nothing you can do. So without other changes, as creative as a change I think this is, and I do think it's creative and I think it's potentially very cool, this feels like too much. You would need to nerf in other ways. Or it could be a tier 3 upgrade, a separate tier 3. But this will, and I've only talked about human. But this grade is tier 2. Yeah, but Night Elf can take like a 4-minute expand, 3-4-minute expand, mass huntresses, pressure you, human turtles up, goes to rifle, turtles up, can't kill the expo, but then they get rifle, they start dominating huntress. Meanwhile, Elf is teching, also at 3-4 minutes, they get their Moonglade, suddenly rifle no longer enough of a counter. I think it's pretty crazy. I do think it's creative. I would like to see play around with it, but you would need to do other things. You would dominate tier 2 too much, most likely. Now, some may wonder, if Huntress can be that dominant with heavy armor, how come Grunts, Ghouls, and Footmen aren't? Because Huntress attack 3 things, which means they can hit buildings and then kill all the workers behind it that are repairing. So they're very good at killing towers. The only problem is they take too much damage from towers. Huntress movement speed is 350. A Grunt is like 290, 280. So they can actually constantly catch, block, and kite. And chase and pursue and murder rifles. Whereas Grunts will walk after a rifle with roughly the same movement speed. So that means that you cannot leave your base against Huntress. Huntress also have Shadow Melt. So you need to buy Dust. Also, Night Elf has Entangle. Keeper is a valid opening hero. Shadow is not. So every time a rifle, archer, headhunter goes out, boom, there's an Entangle. Hunters are killing it. So just the whole dynamic is different. That's why some heavy armor units do not murder and just win outright at tier 1-2. And Huntresses do, except for their armor type. So taking care of their only weakness seems risky. I don't currently have inspiration for another idea, but something else would need to be changed. I do think that this is the most exciting change of the patch so far, which gives Night Elf a fun plaything, which was sorely lacking in the previous PTR notes. So I like their thinking. I hope they keep cooking. I think they're doing a great job, honestly. Okay, Fairy Dragon Mana Flare is now able to be toggled off before the full duration. Blah? We can already toggle it off before the full duration. I don't get it. Vorpal Blades upgrade. They mean phase shift? Oh, they meant phase shift. Ah, so it's like Ice Block now in Heroes of the Storm. They're out of existence into stasis, but you can pre-cancel it early before the full duration. I understand. They meant that. Dragons don't get forcibly left behind as much anymore. I like that. Increases micro potential for Elf, creates a variable phase back in time for a unit that is not dominant right now. Fun plaything for Elf. I think this is great. Vorpal Blade upgrade now gives an additional 10 damage. I think that's a great change. I see it, I like it. Glaives suck. Vorpal Is a weird upgrade. Getting some bonus damage seems fun. Next, reverted spike cataplate change, good. Revert tier 1 web, good. I didn't like this change. I don't think it would be good for the game. Revert gargoyle ground damage change, which was like -1 damage, right? I think that's good. Gargoyles are slower by 25 to match flyings. We're almost back to Reign of Chaos speed. I couldn't help but realize that they were very slow in Reign of Chaos when I play it sometimes. Is this good? This is going to be very difficult for Undead to deal with Orc, by the way. Mass Wyverns. Right now, the top meta is Mass Wyvern against Garg Destroyer. With Gargs being slower, that is going to be very tough, specifically for Undead versus Orc. I'm not sure it's needed. Nerubian Tower attack speed reduced again. It was 1. It was 1.3, then it was 1. Then they said maybe it should be back to 1. Wait, hold on. Oh, wait. It was 1. It was nerfed to 1.3. Then they were going to make it back to 1. But now they're like, okay, maybe halfway, 1.15. I think that's good. 1 was too good. I don't think 1.3 was too bad. I still think it's OP as hell. I can settle for this. Wand of Negation is now a single target dispel that deals 200 damage to summoned units. Still has 4 charges. Damn! 4 dispels at tier 2. Now I don't know the cost anymore because we've had so many versions. Why did they nerf Staff of Negation? I never see that item. I would like to remind everyone that the existence of a item, unit, or hero, even if it exists and never gets made, it has changes on the meta that the average Joe doesn't understand. So, but I'm trying to help everybody understand the existence of a dispel item that you can purchase at tier 2 changes in a big way the heroes and units other races will consider. Because it exists as an option that's purchasable from a tier 2 shop, other races will think twice at high level to utilize summons and debuffs to win games, to cheese wins, to gain advantage, etc. Because they think if I get Hex, if I go Wolves, if I go for Entangle, you're just going to buy the wand and then you're going to remove my spell. The result is that nobody ever uses Farseer Wolves, Keeper Entangled Treants, Shadow Second Hex, Shadow First Hex against Undead anymore. If Wand of Negation exists and is a good item for value. And then, when you look at the stats, you will think, oh, this item seems weak. Nobody ever buys it. Let's buff it. Which will change nothing because the other races are still playing into the existence of it. There must be a term for this. Like potential counter. A potential counter prevents the counterable from being made. That's why sometimes you need to consider the effects, even the existence of it, even if it never gets made, it's still a buff to the race. So I don't know where this leaves the item, by the way. I currently talked about Theorycraft. It's a deterrent, yes. Oh, there we go. It's a deterrent. Yeah, atomic bomb, the threat of the mutually assured destruction of feral spirits. The Wand of Negation deterrent against early buff hegemony. Right? A deterrent against buff and summon hegemony. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so some bug fixes. Oh, item balance. Oh, the Sentry Ward vision for item is also nerfed. Isn't this all the same? Is this from before? This is all the same as before. Yeah. Previous patch. Hegemony. Hermione! Okay, how is this patch? Quick review. Is Lakari... Okay, Lakari is ready. How's the patch? I think... Refer to previous comments. Hope you enjoyed the review. I will try to set up some show matches soon where we can test some of these changes. Cheers.